Hi, my name is Pat Harriman. I'm the owner of A Careful Turn Driving School. Today I'm making this parent video to help you guys understand a little bit about what we have to do after we get our Segment 1 certificate of completion. First things first, you have to be 14 years and 8 months to take Segment 1, which your child has already done. Now, once they complete the program, they cannot drive on that certificate. I'll say it again, they cannot drive on that certificate. The certificate is just to show that you've completed Segment 1. Once they've completed Segment 1, they must go to the Secretary of State. When they go to the Secretary of State, they have to be 14 years and 9 months to be able to apply for a Level 1 learner's license. They must bring a birth certificate or passport. I've heard sometimes that Michigan IDs work as well, but for sure, birth certificate or passport. Their Social Security card, certificate of completion, which is a green slip that they'll get from us when they complete the course, and 2 proofs of Michigan residency. Now this can be like a yearbook picture. I've heard tellers take school ID cards, bills in their names, things of that nature that can identify them to the state of Michigan. A school ID will definitely work, or a state ID will definitely work for that one. Once they've taken all that with a parent for a signature, they then get their Level 1 learner's license. Now, from there they now can drive with a parent or guardian and anyone approved by a parent or guardian that's 21 years of age. So for example, if there's an older sister that's 22 years old, if a parent approves it, they can then drive with that brother or sister. Now, as they're driving now, they need to start logging hours. They need, before their next step in the graduated license system, they need to log a total of 30 driving hours, 2 of the 30 at night. So 30 driving hours, 2 at night. Before they can take Segment 2, they also must drive for 3 months. Now this is just a minimum. They can go past the 3 months, but a minimum of 3 months. Segment 2 is only 3 days, 2-hour days. It's $35 at A Careful Turn. Generally the last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of each month, we offer 12 programs. If you need to find when you need to come to Segment 2, you can just log on to www.acarefulturn.com or call 810-214-1137 or email at acarefulturn@gmail.com. Any of those, we're fine. You don't need to fill in paperwork ahead of time. You're more than welcome just to show up on the first day and you can get the paperwork then. But when you come to Segment 2, again, 3 months minimum and 30 hours, 2 of which are at night. When your son or daughter then earns their Segment 2 certificate, the next step is the driving test. Now the driving test is a little different. There is no set time from Segment 2 to their driver's test. What it is when they get their Level 1 learner's license, it is 6 months from that date. 6 months from that date is when the minimum they can take their driver's test. So, for example, let's say they take their they get their Segment or their Level 1 learner's license on, we'll say, February 3rd of 2016. So, February 3rd, 2016, 3 months later, would put them at May 3rd of 2016. That is as soon as they can take Segment 2. And then from there, their driver's test, as soon as they can take it, is August 3rd of 2016, which is 6 months after February. Now, generally driving schools, the ones that test, my business does not test, but generally the third-party vendor that tests wants them a little closer to their 16th birthday, or if they're already over 16. So even though by how it works out, you can take your driver's test halfway through or even before then when you're 15, they still want you a little closer to your 16th birthday. On that note, it gives them more time to work with you. So, but let's say they want to take their driver's test 8-3-16. Let's say by chance they're already 16 at this date. They take their driver's test. We have no recommendations for a driver test. You can visit us at our website to see some of the driving tests around the area. Once they take their driver's test and pass that, the next step is to go to the Secretary of State and get their level 2 license. Now to get their level 2 license, they must of course have completed the driver's test, and of course had to complete segment 2. And be 16 years of age. So they take their driver's test, they have to wait till they're 16. If they're already 16, they can go get their level 2 license. And that's the one with that they don't need mom or dad to drive with. They do, however, have restrictions, and we'll talk about those restrictions. Now, the next step after getting their level 2 license is their level 3 license. To get their level 3 license, they have to drive 6 months on a level 2 license and be 17 years of age. So, if by chance our person is, they take their level 1 learner's license, they by chance turn 16, we'll say right around that date, 8-3. Then for them to get their level 3 license, even though they'll make the 6 months, they have to wait till they're 17. So if they by chance turn 16 on this date, this is as soon as they can get their level 3 license, which the Secretary of State will send to them. And that is the one without restrictions. That's the one similar to a full adult's license. Now the thing that could hold them back from these two is a ticket or an at-fault accident. If they get a ticket or an at-fault accident while they're on their level 1 learner's license, that could push them back up to 3 months past when they can take their driver's test. It's a 3-month window. They can't take their driver's test in. So if they get a ticket, let's say early, let's say they get a ticket, I don't know, we'll say 3-3, roughly a month after they got their level 1 learner's license, they just can't take their driver's test within that window. They just can't take their driver's test within that window. They can take their driver's test after it. Some people that might not influence, but if you're closer to taking your driver's test and get a ticket, then that could push you back. When they have their level 2 license, if they get a ticket or an at-fault accident, it could push them up where a near a year past when they get an accident before they get their level 3 license, up until they're 18 years old. Now, restrictions. First of all, level 1, level 2, full license, it is illegal to text and drive for any person, including adults. No one can text and drive. However, cell phones, to use other than texting purposes, due to the Kelsey law, a driver cannot use their cell phone on a level 1 license or a level 2 license. They're not allowed to use their cell phone for GPS, for phone calls, for any reason. Now the law is starting to look at what they can do with like mounted GPS or phones using like the Bluetooth function in the cars. That law is a little skeptical. But the only way they can even use their cell phone on a level 1 or 2 is an emergency to call 911. Okay? That's the only time they can ever use their phone while on a level 1 or level 2 is for 911. Other than that, no other purpose for themselves they can use it for. Once they get their level 3 license, they can then use their phone for like GPS, phone calls, and so on. I would recommend them not using it because it does take away about 40% of their attention from the road using the cell phones. Restrictions. While on their level 1 learner's license, other than of course cell phones, there is no other restriction. They can drive with as many people in the car as they want, and they can drive at any time they want because there has to be a licensed adult that's 21 or older in the car with them. However, when they get their level 2 license, that's when the restrictions change a little bit. First things first, if they have an adult in the car that's 21 or older that has a license in it, they'll have no restrictions similar to when they're on their level 1 learner's license. They can still, at level 2, drive at any time or with any number of people as long as there's enough seat belts if there's someone in the car that's 21 or older that's licensed. However, if there is not an adult in the car, here are the restrictions. First, let's talk about time frame. With the exception of an approved event, and I'll talk about those in a second, so other than approved events, they cannot drive between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. So they can't drive 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So anything 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., they can drive within that range. Now, people, the passengers in the car, they can drive with 1 non-immediate family member in the car with them. So they can have one buddy in the car with them. They can have more people in the car if they are immediate family, brothers, sisters, half-brothers, half-sisters, so on. But non-immediate family members, just one. Again, with the exception if they have an adult that's 21 or older in the car with license, they can have more than one person in the car as long as there are enough seat belts in it. Now here are the exceptions to both of those. What's an approved event? First things first, for both of them, work. If it's a work-related thing, so they're going to work, they can drive outside that frame and they can have more than one person in the car. So for example, if they're working at Taco Bell and they want to take like 2 people home, let's say it's 11 o'clock, 11 p.m., they can drive past the 10 o'clock time and they can take those 2 people home. They have to take them immediately home or to their house and stay. They can't drop one off, hang out for an hour, then drop the other person off, hang out. They can't do that. They have to immediately go to the people's house and drop them off and then back home or to their friend's house and stay. That's the people and the time for work. Now the approved event talks about school. That's school and school-related events. They can go past the hours or before the hours, or they can have more than one person in the car. And school-related event, like a concert or a football game. The football game goes past 10 o'clock. They can drive home from there. If it's an approved athletic event, like let's say they want to go to a hockey game here in Flint, or they want to go to a pro, like a Detroit Tigers game, a baseball game, they can go past those hours and have more than one person in the car. If it's a religious event, like say a sleepover, but it has to be a tax-exempt religious event, they can also go to a vocational school, like a college, for example. So let's say that their college class starts at 5 a.m., they can drive to that college, and they can bring more than one person. And also, last thing, emergencies. Emergencies, if they have to take, let's say, a couple of their friends to the hospital, then they can drive, at more than one person in the car, and of course, pass those hours. So again, an approved event: school or school-related activity, work or work-related activity, a type of like concert or athletic event, a religious event that's that's tax-exempt status, and if there is an emergency. Those situations will allow them to drive outside the time frame and with more than one person in the car. Once they turn 17, no restrictions. They just have to have a number of seatbelts in the car for the people in the car. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at acarefulturn@gmail.com, or visit our website for more information, or call us. Again, if you want to sign on for segment 2, if you've already taken segment 1 and you want to take your segment 2, just call and leave a message. That's all you have to do. A message is fine. Thank you, and if you have any more questions,